Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive, and today we are going to look at the top 10 games I'm looking forward to in 2020. But before we get to that, let's take a look at my top 10 from last year and determine how good my anticipation radar was. So at number 10, we had Secrets of the Lost Station. So that one didn't ship this year. I'm still super looking forward to it. Hopefully it's soon. It's supposed to be on a boat right now, so hopefully it gets here in a month or so. Dungeon Universalis, I am super stoked for that game, and it almost delivered in 2019, and I still can't believe that they've done so much in such a short amount of time with that game. The reason it was delayed is because they discovered some errors in some of the English translation of the cards, and they decided to put a hold on everything to get those errors corrected to make it the best product they possibly can. If you've seen the unboxing video of that thing on YouTube, it is insane. I mean, I know that I keep saying that I'm looking forward, I'm liking smaller, more compact games lately, games with fewer pieces, but Dungeon Universalis is the complete opposite of that. It is a huge game, and I still can't believe that they've gotten everything together, even with this delay. So that should be here in I think a couple months. Tainted Grail. Now, Tainted Grail did come out, but they Awakened Realms did that thing that I just hate, is when they offer split shipping. To me, it divides the community, because you have people who don't want to pay, like me. I didn't want to pay an extra $30 to have it shipped, and it kind of dilutes the initial excitement for the game, because you have some people who are getting it now, some people are going to get it later, and it really kind of throws a monkey wrench into the whole process of is this game a 2019 game or a 2020 game? So Tainted Grail, it's coming, so I'm still looking forward to that. But the combat system really does seem to take a long time, and I'm having a little hesitation on the game right now. Wander, the Cult of Barnacle Bay, that did come out in 2019, and I did like it quite a bit. Almost made my top 5. It definitely would have made a top 10, probably a top 7. D6, Dungeon Dames, Dudes, Dives, and Dashes, and Diners, or I always forget what the D6 stands for. That one, I think, is still a ways out. That was a way off on thinking that was going to come out in 2019. Hellboy, you guys know that I love Hellboy, my game of the year for 2019, so that was a good prediction. Machina Arcana 2nd edition is on my table right now. Almost made it, a week late. Excuse me. I know that some people got it in 2019, but I got mine in 2020. I'm liking it so far. It does seem to address some of the issues I had with the first editions. I still haven't played it. I'm reading through the rules and getting everything organized to do a video on that. Skull Tales Full Sail. Yep, you guys know how I feel about that one. Madara, right back here. Interesting one. I'm going to be doing a review soon, because I think I'm finally at the point where I've played enough of it to review it. A couple people noticed it was not on my top 5, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about Madara. We'll have to talk about that when the time comes. And then, of course, my number 1 was Dungeon Crusade, and that should be coming in 2 to 3 months. Roger has finished with the corrections, submitted the files. They should be coming up soon. Actually, just last night, I had a super fun conversation with Roger. We talked on the phone for about 2 hours, just all about dungeon crawls and our love for the hobby, and it was really fun. We were like a couple of little schoolgirls just chatting away about games. It was a lot of fun. So I'm hoping we can do that more often. But all right, let's get to the list. Now, this is the top 10 games I am looking forward to in 2020, and I'm hoping all of these hit in 2020. We will have to see, but I don't know a whole bunch about most of these. Most of these are Kickstarters that I have backed, maybe all of them. But again, I'm just going to kind of all list, maybe one thing I like or one thing I'm hoping to like and maybe something that I'm feeling a little hesitant about. So the first one at number 10 is Return to Dark Tower. And of course, that's coming from Rob Davio over at, Restoration Games. And it's got a bunch of designers. Isaac Childress, Noah Cohen, Justin Jacobson, Brian Neff. I know they have one of the original artists from the original Dark Tower, the old 80s electronic board game, doing some of the art. I have never played the original, actually. It wasn't, so I don't really have the nostalgia for the original. I've always been curious, but this looks like it's going to be a technological and mechanical marvel if they can get everything working. And so that's one of my hesitations is, can they pull it off? Can they get this app integrated with the tower and have it all work properly? Is it going to be fun or is it going to be a gimmick? The game sounds amazing. It sounds like they've really, made it a real game beyond the gimmick. So that is number 10, Return to Dark Tower. At number 9, coming from Jack Sporner, is Dungeons of Infinity. So this is a kind of I'm going to say a generic dungeon crawl, but I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's a prototypical tile laying dungeon crawl. What is exciting me about this game is it seems to have a great kind of modular setup that offers the players a whole bunch of options in the kind of quests they want, the length they want, the kind of characters and monsters and all of that kind of stuff. The thing that I'm a little iffy on is some of the art. The tiles don't look super exciting, and some of the art on the cards it's serviceable, but I don't think it has a wow factor in the way it's in its presentation, but I think its mechanisms and the way that it's going to offer up just a ton of options for different play styles and different quests, I think is going to be super cool. So that is number 9 with Dungeons of Infinity. Number 8 is from designers Marek Medel and Pof Sweck. Waste Knights 2nd Edition. I know nothing about Waste Knights. I know nothing about the 1st edition. I believe I found out about this game right after I reviewed Fallen Land, another post-apocalyptic game. What has me excited about Waste Knights is that it has a full kind of single-player campaign with a kind of choose your own adventure storybook aspect to go along with the board game. Really looking forward to that. What has me a little bit hesitant is the fact that I don't know if the rest of the game can be played solitary or if you need, or cooperatively, or if you need it to be, I don't think it's competitive, but I don't know if the whole game offers the ability to play solo or not. And so if I'm going to have to rely on other people to be around when I want to play that game, then that will be kind of a bummer. But beyond that, I don't really know too much about this game. I have not looked at any of the updates or the development pictures or anything. So a lot of this game is going to be a surprise for me. And I think that's cool. I'm looking forward to being surprised. Coming up next is another 2nd edition from Mateo Santos. And this is Carnival Zombies 2nd Edition. This looks really cool. I've always thought that the 1st edition looked awesome. I've never played it, but the art is kind of grotesque and it's garish. It's got this really unique look to it that I don't see in a lot of board games. And it's kind of a tower defense style game where there's zombies coming in and you have to fight them off from the town center, but then there's also kind of an adventure game aspect to it where you're wandering around from, I think, from like location to location on a little mini map type thing. Again, it's a game that I don't know a lot of. I like the look, and it does look a little busy, like maybe there is a lot going on. So that's one thing I'm hesitant about is maybe the complexity. Something like I don't think it's quite as complex as like Dawn of the Zeds or anything like that, but it does remind me of Dawn of the Zeds, although it looks a lot different. And I have a feeling it's gonna have a different kind of like thematic feel. So that was number 7, Carnival Zombie. Number 6 is Bloodborne, the board game. Now, one of the reasons why this jumped up in my anticipated list is because of how much Cthulhu Death May Die surprised me. I'm not the biggest fan of Simon games. I've said it before, they're a little lacking in, they are missing that like Agent X, that special ingredient that I think can push them over the top. Cthulhu Death May Die had that, and I'm hoping that Bloodborne has it too. Bloodborne is, out of all of the From Software games, Bloodborne is my favorite, even more than Dark Souls 2, which I mentioned is my favorite Dark Souls game. Bloodborne is my favorite FromSoft game. I absolutely love the way that they twisted the Victorian horror on its head and actually turned it into a work of cosmic horror. So I'm hoping that kind of cosmic horror is represented in the board game. I am hesitant because it is coming from Simon and Eric M. Lang, and I don't love their designs with dungeon crawls. I think Eric Lang works on some amazing games, but the dungeon crawl side, we'll see. Hopefully it's better than Zombie side. Hopefully it's as good as Cthulhu Death May Die. And number 5 coming up from a online friend of mine, Dustin Frund, and that is the Ghosts Betwixt. So I should mention that I hope it's cool with Dustin. I think it is, but I am actually going to be helping him a little bit, reviewing the rule book and getting that kind of stuff in order, as much as he wants me to help him. So full disclosure there, but I am super stoked for this game. And I did a little preview on my channel before, I think last year. And one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to this game is just the different theme, is having a dungeon crawl style game in a haunted house. That sounds really cool. I guess the thing I'm a little hesitant on is just, I hope that the whole project can come together, because I felt like with the prototype and the rules that were presented, there were some ambiguities, so I'm hoping some of that gets cleared up in the final product. All right. Number 4 is Mapmaker Adventures. So this is more of an RPG. It's a book-based system, kind of like 4 Against Darkness or D100 Dungeon. And it's all kind of an RPG that you can play solo or with other people, and it's all about cartography. It's all about mapping caverns and dungeons. I've mentioned this before in my video for exploration, but it is very much reminds me of the JRPG games like Etrian Odyssey, where kind of the whole point of the game is to map out the dungeon and find stuff along the way. So that one I'm looking forward to because it is unique. It sounds like a unique experience. The thing I'm hesitant a little bit about is, I think I said that it was coming from a Japanese designer on my video, and that's not true. I think he's a Chinese designer that somebody mentioned. So I guess I'm a little hesitant. I'm just hoping that the English version of the game, or if it even is being translated, I'm not sure. I guess I'm just hoping some of the language on the Kickstarter page, the English is a little rough. So I'm just hoping that it comes together in a way that doesn't feel like it's been poorly translated or what's the word I'm trying to think of? I guess just poorly translated. I'm hoping that it comes together in a way that feels natural and that is presented in the best way possible. That's what I'm hoping. All right, and number 3 is Alter Quest, and of course that's from Adam Sadler and Brady Sadler. This is the first of their like modular deck system games that I'm actually interested in. You would think that with my love for Hong Kong cinema and martial arts cinema that I would be into Street Masters, but something about the game it doesn't excite me. It seems like a perfectly fine game, and I like their system. You know, the Brick City I think they use, and they're doing a new superhero one, which I have no love for superheroes at all, really. But you would think that Street Masters would appeal to me. I've watched a whole bunch of videos and I just can't get excited for it, but Alter Quest I think looks really neat, and I'm excited to experience their modular deck system just because it offers a whole bunch of replayability and just different ways to set up the game. The one thing I'm a little disappointed in is the inclusion of the miniatures, because the board and the art is so bright and colorful that even if you painted the minis, it would be really hard to find colors that vibrant to make them match into the game board. And I would have loved to have seen this game come with some standees that had those same kind of bright colors. So that was number 3, Alter Quest. And I think if I had to pick one game that probably wouldn't come out this year, I would bet on Alter Quest. And then you're going to notice a theme, a similar theme in these next 2. Number 2 is coming from Grimlord Games, and that is the Ever Rain. So after Skull Tales was highly disappointing, I am still on my search for a game that lets you explore the open seas and have adventure on, you know, in boats, but also have little island explorations and having a crew on your ship to man all the stations and all of that kind of stuff. And the Everrain is looking like it is going to offer that. It looks really interesting. It kind of reminds me of Machina Arcana in the fact that it's a little steampunky in the way it looks, but it also mixes in some, you know, some mythos, some Cthulhu mythos type stuff, like a lot of games do these days. You know, thank God for public domain, right? But yeah, so Everrain, I'm hesitant just because it seems like it's going to be one of those games with a ton of stuff. So I hope that it's just not an overabundance of cool components. I'm hoping that the game is good as well. And finally, my number 1 anticipated game, and this is kind of a surprise to me, but again, I'm looking for that game that gives me that feeling of exploring the water, an ocean, a different setting. I think you could say I'm interested in different settings right now. And that, of course, is coming from Ryan Lockett with Red Raven Games, Sleeping Gods. This game looks fantastic. I'm really hoping that he nails this design, because while I have tangentially, or not tangentially, I have a cursory appreciation for Ryan Lockett's games. I think his art is fantastic. I think his worlds that he creates are interesting. I'm not a huge fan of his game mechanisms because they're still so Euro-y. And I have this really like deep love and deep hate relationship with Near and Far. And I know I've been saying I want to do a review for it, but the truth of the matter is I don't know if I'll ever get to it. So I'm going to talk about it real briefly here. My main problems with Near and Far are that it's 2 very different games. You have the storytelling narrative kind of half, you know, RPG, choose your own adventure side. And then you have this very, very mechanical, you know, mechanism forward Euro design. And the marriage between those 2 in that game doesn't really work, because if you're playing to win, which you should be, because it's a Euro-y, victory point gathering game, you're better off ignoring the story side. And so if you're playing to win, you're going to ignore the thing that makes the game, in my opinion, interesting. Whereas I want to focus on the story. And if you're playing with the other players and you're focusing on the story, you're not going to win. So it's a weird, I don't think he's ever really nailed this combination of Euro mechanisms with more Ameritrash kind of thematic game mechanisms. However, Sleeping Gods is looking like the closest he's going to get, and I'm hoping he completely nails it. And if he does, I think this is going to be one of those games that is just kind of like a legendary game. And this game looks like it could scratch a ton of itches. It looks so just like it's just dripping, pardon the pun, with theme. And the art, of course, is fantastic. The world looks interesting. It looks like it has a lot of mystery. And that is the game I'm most looking forward to. The reason it's number one is because it's like I'm super looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm also really hesitant about it because I'm really hoping he just gets that design and has those two different schools of game design. I'm really hoping he finds a way to meld those together into a very cohesive package. So yeah, that's it. Those are the 10 top games I'm looking forward to in 2020. Let me know what you're looking forward to. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of others, a bunch of surprises this year that we'll discover along the way. And I'm hoping that, I'm hoping like a couple games come out of nowhere that just like knock my socks off. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later and take it easy. Bye-bye.